It's not time for trending now, and Olamide Odekunle is here for giving us all the information regarding what the people are saying, on the socials. Olamide, good to see you on the other side.
Hello again, boys. Unfortunately, once again, I find myself pandering to the male gaze. Typical story of a woman presenting myself to men.
Did Olamide just say that? Did you just call us boys?
I did. Let's see what everyone's talking about this morning.
All right,
Good morning, Nigeria. I like to say that TVC has a finger on the pulse and an eye on the streets. And here on the Trending Now segment, my team and I do our best to bring you trending stories that are shaping the world that we live in. We begin today with some good news that is inspiring and symbolic, where a 13-year-old girl, Joy Oga, made history yesterday by stepping into the role of Nigeria's vice president for a day. Now, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, graciously handed her the symbolic seat during a special visit by Plan International at the presidential villa. From the Vice President's chair, this young woman spoke powerfully about the barriers that girls face in Nigeria, from the 10.5 million children still out of school to the lack of access of sanitary products, clean water, and proper nutrition. And her message was very clear. She says that every girl deserves a classroom, a choice, and dignity, not silence. Now, in response, the Vice President reaffirmed the government's commitment to inclusive education for all girls. I think that this is a very important message that the Vice President sent by this. Let's take a look at what you had to say about this on social media. Rich Exol says, Shettima stepping aside for a teenager. Now that's a power move showing trust in the next generation. Imagine the stories that she'll tell from day one. And David Ede says, wow, Joy Oga stepping up as VP for a day is pure inspiration. This bold move by Plan International and the Tinubu administration shines a light on girl-child empowerment. Imagine the future if every girl got this chance. What policies do you think Joy should push for next? This is very interesting. Team, do you think Joy Oga will make viable opposition in the upcoming 2027 election?
Yes, she certainly will be a very, very viable and tough opposition. But who is she opposing? That's the question. All right. It makes me really proud that Joy Oga, who happens to come from where I come from, fantastic, was given that privilege. And just last week, we talked about Agbo Adoga, the genius, the young guy there, also from where. So right now, I'm feeling very proud. I just feel like they are my kids. But let's go to the topic at hand. She had to use the opportunity to talk about girl empowerment, which I expected that she would. If it was a guy that was given the opportunity, I wonder what he would have talked about. Maybe he would have talked about the economy, politics, and so on. However, congratulations to Joy, and a good gesture by the administration.
Wait a moment. Joy Oga sitting on the vice president chair. Man, that is massive. And then she didn't feel, she wasn't jittery. She had to say what she said. And she represented the girls of her age and even the female that we have across the nation, even outside of the country. That's to say that it is not a right for us to give them that kind of position. It is our responsibility to train them, to allow them. So they say give the young a chance and then lead them in the dance. It reminds me of what Ali Mozrui, an author of Kenya, author in Kenya, saying that we should not just make this world better for our children, but for our children's children. And we're seeing this playing out right there in the office and on the seat of the vice president. Well done, everyone.
Indeed. Today, China just got her first female prime minister. This could be a seed that has been sown into the mind and the life of Joy Oga. In a few years to come, she too could sit in a position of political power either within the country or outside, like we've seen of the UN, we've seen of Okonjo Iweala herself and several other ones. It's a good look on the country. It's a good look for the child. Hopefully, we see that replicated strongly, that one day we'll have a female governor, a female president, a female vice president in this country. It's a good one.
Absolutely. Great job on your first day, Madam Vice President Ma. Thank you for your input, team. Moving on, in a commendable move aimed at protecting Nigeria's children, the Senate has passed a landmark bill prescribing the life imprisonment for anyone found guilty of sexually defiling a minor. Now, during Tuesday's plenary, lawmakers voted unanimously to amend the Criminal Code Act, upgrading the current 5-year sentence to life behind bars without the option of fine. This is what they had to say.
I want to propose that the punishment for defilement is, for minor, is life imprisonment.
So in this case, it doesn't matter whether it is a woman or a man that does the defilement. The most important thing is that if a woman lures a minor to defy, life imprisonment. If a man lures a minor to defy, life imprisonment. Any seconder, Olamileko. Because you feel very strongly about this. You are going to make sure that nothing like that happens to Ogun State.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sitting as Chair, Adeola Solomon Olamileko. I rise to second the motion assembly moved by Senator Adamu Alero. I so second.
Yes. Distinguished colleagues.
The bill, already approved by the House, now awaits presidential assent to become law, marking a strong stand against child sexual abuse in Nigeria. We've said this time and time again, legislation will set the standard in protecting our children, but the real work is at home in how we take care of our younger ones. Let's take a look at what you have to say about this on social media. Kato Turka says, this aligns with Section 34 of the 1999 Constitution, which guarantees the dignity of every human being, and with the Child Rights Act 2003 that criminalizes sexual abuse of minors. By prescribing life imprisonment with no option of fine, the Senate is closing the loopholes that allowed predators to buy their way out of justice. This is a constitutional reinforcement that the rights of children are non-negotiable. We'll take one more tweet. The repairman had this to say, very apt, short and sweet. He says, what's their definition of a child? Please, it will determine a lot. Team, we briefly touched on this during the newspaper review. Yeah. Like I said, legislation sets the standard, but the real work is at home. You know, I'm glad to see that they're closing the loopholes in the system.
And we also identify the fact that a child in Nigeria is anybody below 18 years. But you see, when it happens to children between 14 and 17, it is somehow it's not as bad. People believe it's not as bad as when it happens to a child that is like 5 years, 4 years, and so on. I've even heard a case of a baby being defiled by a full-grown man. Right. This is one legislation that I know will not have any headache to be passed into law.
Yeah, finally, a law that speaks the language of justice, not leniency. So it goes to show that Nigeria is getting, is not playing, is not joking as regards rape, minor abuse, or anyone who says, yeah, I'm a pedophile and I can do it. No one can do anything. Remember Jeffrey Epstein, whose case after his death is still much talked about and even affecting Prince Andrews of the UK. So let us extend it beyond pedophilia. Let's also take it to child marriage. People who are getting married, getting their children married at a very early age when they're supposed to be in school, when they're supposed to be, taken care of. So we have to make it a moral duty. We have to ensure that we rid our society of these bad persons that are destroying the lives of our children. And then life imprisonment is akin to the lifetime damage that you're doing to such children.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Whilst we commend the National Assembly, the Senate, for doing this, there's several other matters in the country that also requires hard-on laws to, handle them. I think the Senate shouldn't shy away from such matters so that together they can deliver crack laws and put justice system in place so that lawyers will not have elements or instruments to go to the court and dialogue over matters that is already clearly wrong. It's a good way to go. Let's maintain the momentum.
Absolutely. And team, we can't understate the importance of this, right? Just yesterday, we took the trending story of the young girl who unfortunately, unalived herself because she was forced into a marriage. News has now come out that said that she was believed to be a child. And so this is very, very important legislation. Yeah. Thank you so much for your input.
Thank you.
Moving on, in a refreshing moment for Nigeria's media and journalism space, Two respected journalists, Nifemi Ogunte of TVC News and Kayode Okukiolu of Channels Television, came together in what has now become a trending interview. Now, the informal sit-down took place on Okukiolu's popular Rooftop series, where both of these men discussed everything from the evolving face of journalism to the challenges and the ethics of modern-day reporting. Take a look of two of our top men in journalism.
My senior colleague criticized President Tinubu for declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State. It's amazing how people don't hear things like that and assume that all of us are dull heads because we're working with TVC. That's not true.
But I'm really curious, if you had a chance to relive that experience, would you have given him hot?
You're just purely being angry. You have to be humble enough to know that you don't know it all. And what you consider to be the truth might not be the truth. So you have to be really open-minded. And that's why I think it's important that we detach our emotions from these conversations. Just open your mind. Ask the questions. Listen to the response. Don't take a side.
Now, in a media landscape that is often marked by rivalry and competition, the duo's conversation definitely stood out. I think that it showcases mutual respect, it highlights professionalism and camaraderie in our field. It was a masterclass in collaboration over competition and a reminder that at the heart of the press, truth and integrity should remain our common ground. Let's take a look at what you had to say about this on social media. Nifemi Ogunte said, bold, unfiltered, disruptive, a bit too honest, as Kayode Okukiolu got me to spill more than I planned. Watch before I ask him to pull it down. And Kayode replied him, he says, but I must thank you for your honesty and boldness. Collaboration is a new competition. I couldn't agree more. And finally, Kashif Dauda says, this is brilliant. A good time to introduce an open-minded table to share matters dear to our nation. Team, this is great. A little bit juicy because oftentimes we are pitted against one another, whether or not we like to talk about it as media houses. But at the bottom of it is a love for this profession, a camaraderie, a love for storytelling, a love for truth, and a love to tell people, you know, what's going on in the world. And I think that these two men just demonstrated it. I love me some Nifemi.
I find it very funny when broadcast journalists see themselves as competitors, you know, because you're working on this television station or radio station today. It doesn't mean that you can't walk in the other one, you know, tomorrow. So collaboration is what we should embrace, and I thank God that this has happened. It reminds me of the journalist hangout too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is journalism at its finest. When collaboration takes a pause and then when competition takes a pause and collaboration takes the mic, that is exactly what we've seen Nifemi and Kayode. These are two fine, broadcasters, journalists. I know Kayode way back in Ibadan. The young guy thriving, growing up, and then came to Lagos, doing fantastically well. Nifemi, rising from wherever it is and then getting to, this apogee. I so much respect, both personalities, met them, worked with Nifemi, met Kayode, in different fora where I'd anchored, different programs as well. So it's a beautiful one to see these and very, very refreshing. And I'm excited about it. I can't wait to watch the full episode because Nifemi actually spewed out so much, especially making reference to the shut up that he got from Babachi Lawal. And it trended.
Yes.
But good one, handled well by him.
I think the sense of competition amongst media practitioners is in the minds of Nigerians. I don't think within ourselves we really see ourselves as a competition because we mingle, we talk to each other. Our colleagues from other, networks, personally, I talk to them a lot. Kayode was one of my students many years ago in Ebonyi State while I was, serving on another media platform. So we've known that long, his wife and so on and forth. So that competition, I don't think it exists within ourselves. It's just Nigerians who watch and assume things. But this looks good for us as practitioners in this industry. It's beautiful. Let's maintain this because who knows, tomorrow he could be here and Nifemi could be there.
He's just a very small industry.
So, I mean,
and
come
everyone
on.
moves around.
But it's a good one. It's a good
Absolutely. What a lot of people back home don't know, you know, people who aren't in the media space, is that we share resources. Sometimes you call, you need intel because somebody knows more than you or has a certain angle. We share each other because we're in the business of storytelling at the end of the day. Thank you so much for your input, team.
Thank you.
Every day, thousands of young Nigerians log on to TikTok Live. Some for fun, others for fame. But for rising star Amadu Elizabeth Aminata, aka Jarvis, it's serious business. Now, in a recent live stream, Jarvis was gifted over 2 million TikTok coins, worth about 35 million naira, by her fans in real time. And the moment, of course, went viral, highlighting the power of Nigeria's digital creator economy and how many young Nigerian talents are now turning content into cash. Jarvis's success is a bold example of how creativity and online platforms are reshaping what success looks like for the average Nigerian in this digital generation. Let's take a look at social media. 35 million naira no go bad. Let's take a look at what you have to say about this on social media. Web3 boy of Lagos says crying over $20,000 on TikTok is peak entitlement and performative emotion. Meanwhile, millions of people are grinding 247 for a fraction of that, building real businesses and paying rent. If virtual coins make you ball like a baby, maybe it's time to rethink priorities instead of celebrating internet handouts. If they give me 20,000, I can cry. Dollars. Amos Soma says that kind of money showing up on a TikTok live will humble even the loudest soul. You can talk tough all you want, but when $20,000 worth of gifts starts raining in, emotions go rogue. Jarvis didn't fake that cry. That was pure disbelief mixed with gratitude and shock. 29 million naira for going live, talking, vibing, entertaining people online. Social media has officially turned into a goldmine for the lucky ones, while the rest of us are just spectators, clapping and calculating exchange rates in silence. Very interesting. Team, there's this narrative of just Nigerian youth being on TikTok Live, you know, engaging in lewdness and loudness and obscenity. And here you have this young girl cashing out 35 million naira. I don't know, some people don't even earn that in years. You know, they dedicated their life to service and they haven't gotten that amount of money. The question now is, isn't it interesting to see that Nigerian youth they're moving from online spectators to real earners in the digital economy?
And with things like this happening, we've heard so many stories about what Nigerian youth are doing with social media. That narrative that Nigerian youth are lazy really doesn't come in at all. A friend of mine was telling me that, look, my daughter studied mass communication. Could you help her get a job? I said, she doesn't need a job. She has a phone. And the guy was wondering, what do you mean by that? Well, sir, this is what I mean.
From ring lights to riches. That's what we've seen Jarvis done. It's showing us that Nigeria's creators economy are really, really, really doing well. They're taking us from that lower level to that highest level. So if you want to make money, maybe you should just set up your own ring light, but don't do nonsense. Because some of us don't have that spirit of spectating, sitting back there and now doing the exchange rate. But I always love it when people share knowledge, when they pass things around. But it looks like things are just turning all around. And then we just have to, you're just taking Nigeria to the top. I don't know what to say. Maybe because the 5 million naira is quite heavy.
He's loud. He's loud.
But congratulations to Jarvis, but make good use of the money, I would say.
Ibrahim, while I absolutely agree with you that no one should get on any social media platform and do nonsense, I'm a stickler for that. But it seems to me like nonsense sells faster, online. But this is, something really beautiful. 35 million naira. It took me a while to get there, but, to get it in a day, boy, I need to learn what you did, man. Yeah.
Honestly, underestimate social media at your own peril. And I think everyone, not just, social media content creators or TikTok stars, everybody should look at how they can fit themselves and their careers into today's digital economy to become an online earner.
Etoma, can you twerk, actually?
Can I what?
Can you twerk?
Are you okay?
So that you can do that on TikTok. Because he says nonsense sells.
Ibrahim, that's enough from you.
Etoma, if you did that, the views you would get.
The views will be crazy, right?
At least 35 million will just come in a second.
Yes.
Trust me.
I twerk.
Thank you so much. That's enough. Ibrahim, I'm putting you on timeout right now. Moving on. Now, time is of the essence. The past, the present, and future.